Imagine living through like 20,000 years of technological change. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We've got a stack of source material, but we're really focusing on the insights from The Future is Faster Than You Think by Diamandis and Kotler. Our mission, really, is to pull out the key ideas, the most important nuggets, to really understand how this speed isn't just happening, but how it's transforming, well, everything around us. And crucially, what it might mean for you.
Yeah, we'll look at the specific technologies that are fueling this acceleration, the forces making it all go even faster, and then brought it down to earth a bit.
Round it.
Exactly. Explore how it's already changing things like shopping, healthcare, how we learn, even maybe where humans end up living in the future. It's a huge topic.
It is.
But at its core is this one idea. The speed of change itself is changing.
Okay, so let's jump in. What's really driving this, it's not just that, say, computers are getting faster on their own, is it?
No, and that's what's so fascinating. And the source hits this right at the start. It's this concept of convergence.
Convergence.
Think of it like lots of different streams flowing together, right? And they form this much bigger, faster river. Technologies aren't just improving in their own little silos.
Yeah.
They're overlapping, they're combining, they're enabling each other in totally new ways. And that convergence, that's the real engine here.
In the example they use, it's great because it sounds futuristic, but it's actually happening now, the flying car.
Yeah.
Or, the modern take, the eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing.
Right. They mentioned that Uber Elevate conference from 2018.
Yeah.
And they weren't pitching science fiction. They were talking about actual prototypes for solving, like, city traffic jams. But in eVTOL, it's not just one invention, is it?
No.
It needs a whole bunch of these exponential technologies converging. You need AI for the controls, robotics maybe for maintenance, new kinds of propulsion, lightweight materials.
Strong but light.
Exactly. And critically, big leaps in battery tech to actually power the thing. None of those alone gives you a flying car.
It's the mix.
It's the mix, the convergence.
And they weren't just talking about if it could be done, but making it affordable. Right. Like maybe cheaper than owning your own car, aiming for a really low cost per passenger mile.
Right, which shows the speed isn't just invention, it's about getting it out there, making it accessible.
Yeah.
And that power, that affordability, it comes from the nature of these exponential technologies themselves. The source really dives into these.
So what makes them exponential?
Well, they double in power or performance for roughly the same cost on a regular basis, kind of like Moore's law for computer chips, but applied much more broadly.
Okay, like quantum computing, that's one.
Fine.
Instead of just 0 or 1, these qubits can be both.
Yeah, superposition. It lets them explore possibilities simultaneously. So problems that would take a normal supercomputer, like thousands of steps, a quantum computer might solve in just a few. They call it a potential golden age of discovery.
Wow. So drug discovery? Materials.
Huge potential there, cutting down the time and cost massively. And the key thing is people are working on making them easier to use, not just for specialists.
Then there's AI, artificial intelligence. It feels like it's everywhere now.
It really is. And it's exploded because of two things. Massive amounts of data to learn from, and the powerful processors, GPUs, needed to actually crunch that data.
So we see it in like chatbots, recommendation engines.
All that, but also complex industrial controls, medical diagnosis. It's moving from what the source calls a deceptive phase, where progress seemed slow, to a really disruptive one, because the data and power finally caught up.
And connecting all this is networks. Obvious, maybe, but crucial.
Absolutely. From telegraphs to 5G and beyond, now you've got projects aiming to blanket the entire planet with internet using satellites.
Like Project Loon or Starlink?
Exactly. Connecting everyone. That network effect is huge. More connections mean exponentially more value, more economic growth.
And those networks are being fed data by, well, everything. Sensors and the Internet of Things, IoT.
Tiny, powerful sensors, they're everywhere. In your fitness tracker, in jet engines, in farm fields, generating just unbelievable amounts of real-time data.
Creating this super detailed digital twin of the physical world.
Yeah.
An information-rich future, as they put it.
And using that information, robotics, which have come a long way from, early clumsy attempts.
Right.
Now you integrate AI and sensors, and robots can learn, they can work together in swarms, they can operate in dangerous places, help surgeons, much more capable. For efficiency, safety, all sorts of things.
And changing how we perceive the world itself, virtual and augmented reality, VR and AR.
Yeah, VR, creating these totally immersive simulations. I mentioned that Planck demo where your brain totally believes you're high up, even though you're not.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's wild.
And it's not just games. Training, education, even building empathy by letting you experience things from another perspective.
And AR overlays digital stuff onto the real world. Like Pokemon Go was an early example, right?
Right. Or seeing furniture in your room before you buy it. Huge market potential, uses in retail, education, healthcare, enhancing reality.
Then 3D printing. That feels like it's really starting to hit its stride.
Totally. It's changing manufacturing. Print what you need when you need it. Shorter supply chains, less waste, more customization.
And it's not just plastic anymore.
No way. Metals, ceramics, even biological tissues. People are 3D printing houses now, quickly and cheaply. It's got huge potential for sustainability for tackling things like housing shortages.
Okay, blockchain.
Yeah.
Most people think Bitcoin, cryptocurrency.
And that's part of it. But the underlying tech, that decentralized, secure ledger, it removes the need for middlemen, like banks, in lots of situations.
So more trust, more transparency.
That's the idea, peer-to-peer transactions, but also secure digital IDs, tracking goods, verifying land ownership, even automated smart contracts. It could change a lot.
And underpinning many physical advances. Material science and nanotechnology.
Yeah, using AI now to discover new materials way faster, working at the atomic level, manipulating matter to create materials with amazing properties.
Like what?
Better solar cells, self-cleaning surfaces, super lightweight stuff for cars or planes, even materials for targeted drug delivery inside the body. Better efficiency, lower costs.
And finally, biotechnology. Gene editing, CRISPR. It feels like huge breakthroughs are happening there.
They really are. We can now understand and modify biological systems, even our own genes, with incredible precision.
Which leads to personalized medicine.
Exactly. Treatments tailored to your specific genetic makeup, potentially curing genetic diseases. A whole new approach to healthcare. N of one medicine, they call it sometimes.
Wow. Okay, so those are the technologies, each accelerating, but the real power comes when they converge.
Right. And then on top of that, the source identifies these 7 forces that are like amplifiers, pushing the accelerator pedal even harder.
Okay, what are they?
First is save time. Think about search engines versus library card catalogs, or GPS versus paper maps.
Yeah, massive time savings.
Multiply that by billions of people saving bits of time every day. It frees up just an enormous amount of human potential for creativity, for innovation.
Makes sense. Second.
Availability of capital, money. There's just so much more investment flowing into new ideas now. Venture capital, crowdfunding, ICOs. It's fueling startups and innovation on a scale we've never seen.
Third is demonetization. Costs plummeting.
Exactly. Gene sequencing went from, hundreds of millions to maybe a few $100. GPS used to be expensive military tech. Now it's free on your phone. When powerful tools become cheap or free, way more people can access them and innovate. It lowers the barrier to entry.
Fourth, more genius.
Global connectivity. Talent isn't stuck in one place anymore. Brilliant minds anywhere can connect, collaborate, solve problems together. The potential pool of innovators is just vastly larger.
Which connects to the fifth, communications abundance.
Yeah, the network effect again. The internet makes sharing ideas instant and global, and connecting the next few billion people who are still offline, that's potentially the biggest collaboration boost in history.
Okay, sixth force.
New business models. Think platform companies, subscription services, businesses built on free data, AI-driven optimization. These models allow companies to scale incredibly fast and be super agile.
And the last one, number 7.
Longer lives. Sounds a bit sci-fi, but as we get better at extending healthy human lifespan...
People have more time to contribute.
Exactly. More years to learn, innovate, pass on knowledge, a larger pool of experienced minds driving progress.
So exponential tech converging, amplified by these 7 forces. It's like a feedback loop of acceleration.
That's a good way to put it. A compounding effect, which is why the pace feels so unprecedented. But it also raises questions, right?
It does. I mean, that speed is exciting, but the source does acknowledge, potential downsides.
Right. Things getting missed, ethical issues, making sure benefits are shared widely, not just creating a bigger divide. How do regulations even keep up? It's definitely not presented as some guaranteed utopia.
Needs careful thought, careful navigation.
Absolutely. So, okay, with that engine of change fired up, let's look at where the rubber meets the road. How is this actually changing things? Starting with something basic, shopping.
Yeah, chapter 5. They start way back with Richard Sears and his catalog. That was a tech revolution back then.
It totally was. Bypass local stores, gave people in rural areas access to goods they couldn't get democratized consumption in a way.
But Sears, well, they eventually stumbled because they didn't adapt to the next wave.
Right. Exactly. Which brings us to today. AI is transforming retail. Cheaper, faster, way more personalized.
Online recommendations, voice shopping with Alexa or Google.
Yep. AI managing inventory, AI chatbots handling customer service. It's getting woven into everything.
And automation, that go, gone our cashier's idea. Amazon Ghost stores.
Yeah. Walk in, grab stuff, walk out, sensors, AI. It's all powered by smart tech, IoT, makes things seamless.
Robotics, too. Delivering packages, maybe.
Definitely. Delivery drones, sidewalk robots, also robots in warehouses, maybe even helping you find things in a physical store eventually. All about efficiency, lower labor costs.
And 3D printing. How does that hit retail?
Potentially massive disruption. On-demand products, customized just for you, printed locally or even at home.
So less need for huge inventories, long supply chains, less waste.
That's the promise. It could fundamentally change what inventory even means.
So physical stores, are they doomed? The source mentions the experience economy.
Yeah, retailers are trying to adapt, make stores destinations, offer entertainment, classes, services, things you can't just click to buy. Malls becoming more like community hubs.
But they also make a pretty bold prediction. No more shopping malls by the end of the decade.
It sounds extreme, yeah. But think about the convergence again.
Okay.
Immersive VR stores you can walk through from your couch. AI stylists picking things out just for you in that virtual space. Body scanning tech so virtual clothes fit perfectly. Then a drone drops it off.
When you put it like that.
The argument is, for a lot of shopping, that virtual experience could become so convenient and personalized, why bother going to a physical mall?
That level of personalization flows right into the next chapter. Advertising.
Totally. It already shifted massively, right? From Mad Men-style print and TV to Google and Facebook dominating everything online.
Yeah.
But the next step they suggest is this spatial web.
Spatial web.
Think 5G speed, AR glasses, AI understanding context. Advertising moves off your screen and into the world around you.
Like the Technority Report. Ads tailored to me appearing on buildings as I walk past.
Kind of. Personalized info, interactive ads overlaid on reality through AR, blurring digital and physical.
Which means hyper-personalization. Using all that data to target messages just for me.
Exactly. Potentially super relevant, but also potentially super creepy and invasive if it's not done right. Big privacy questions there.
And they mentioned a dark side, too. Deepfakes.
Yeah, AI creating fake video or audio that looks totally real. Imagine ads featuring a fake celebrity endorsing something, or worse, spreading misinformation that looks legit. It gets tricky fast.
And looking even further out, could advertising just disappear?
Well, the idea they float is, what if your AI assistant, like a future Jarvis, knows your needs based on your data, your health sensors, your schedule, and just automatically orders things for you?
So AI makes the purchasing decision.
Right. Based on analysis, best price, your preferences. If the AI buys for you, why would brands need to advertise to you anymore? It's a provocative thought.
Definitely. Okay, moving to entertainment. Chapter 7. Netflix is the big story there.
Yeah, how they went from mailing DVDs, getting rid of late fees, which everyone hated.
I remember that cue.
Right. Then using broadband for streaming in 2007. They just kept using tech to solve problems and change the whole model. Revolutionized rentals, then TV itself.
And tech didn't just change consumption, it changed creation. The Uber creator.
Anyone with a smartphone can make content now, right? YouTube, TikTok, influencers. They're competing directly with Hollywood studios. It's democratized things massively.
So the content itself is changing, not just passive watching.
It's moving that way. More interactive, more immersive, more personalized. AI helps tailor stuff to you, maybe even helps create stories you can participate in.
They mentioned the holodeck idea from Star Trek.
Getting closer. VR haptics. Creating experiences that feel real, where you're inside the story, not just watching it.
And personalization goes even deeper here. AI reading your emotions.
Potentially. Yeah. Effective computing. Imagine a movie that subtly changes based on whether you seem bored or excited. Unprecedented customization.
Future ways to watch. AR glasses, smart contacts, maybe even brain-computer interfaces.
That's the bleeding edge stuff, blurring reality and story in ways we can barely conceive of now.
Okay, let's shift gears to something fundamental. Education. Chapter 8. Big challenges there.
Huge. Teacher shortages everywhere. Millions of kids with no school access at all.
And even where there is school, the model feels old, like it's from the industrial age.
A lot of it is. Designed to create standardized workers, often leads to boredom, disengagement, high dropout rates. It struggles to keep up. But tech offers real solutions. Self-directed learning is a big one.
Like that example from Ethiopia, kids teaching themselves to read on tablets.
Exactly. It shows you don't always need formal instruction if the tools are engaging enough.
And the Global Learning Express software teaching kids basic literacy and numeracy.
Yeah, the results were amazing, equivalent to full-time schooling for kids who had zero access before. Imagine scaling that up globally. Huge potential.
And VR in the classroom.
Making things way more engaging. Imagine exploring ancient Rome firsthand, or dissecting a virtual frog without the mess.
Or building empathy. Experiencing homelessness virtually.
Right. It can actually change attitudes by letting you walk in someone else's shoes virtually. Powerful stuff for social issues.
So the future of education, say by 2030, according to the source, AI tutors.
Yeah, an AI that really understands your learning style, your strengths, your weaknesses, adapting constantly.
Immersive field trips with AR/VR. Exploring the human body from the inside.
Absolutely. Making it available anytime, anywhere, totally personalized. Education becoming, as they put it, like a thrilling adventure you control.
That sounds amazing. Let's talk healthcare. Chapter 9 starts with a really powerful story.
Martine Rothblatt. Her daughter gets this rare diagnosis, pulmonary hypertension.
And she basically starts a company to find a cure.
Pretty much. Founds United Therapeutics, develops a drug, saves her daughter, and now they're aiming for these huge moonshots, like solving the organ shortage.
And like growing new organs.
All sorts of angles. Improving existing organ preservation, exploring genetically modified pig organs for human transplants, 3D printing tissues, maybe even lungs eventually.
Yeah.
Using flying cars, EVTOLs to transport organs faster.
Wow. Aiming to make organ failure just manageable.
Exactly. And it's part of this bigger shift they talk about, moving from sick care, treating you after you're ill, to proactive health care focused on prevention using tech.
So tech impacts diagnostics.
Sensors, AI analyzing scans or health data.
Procedures.
Robotics making surgery more precise, 3D printing custom surgical guides or implants.
And drugs.
Genomics finding the right drug for you, quantum computing designing new drugs faster.
And this DIY diagnostics idea. Mobile health.
Yeah, using your smartphone or wearables with smart sensors. Getting continuous health data, AI helping interpret it in real time. Portable MRI machines even. Power shifting to the patient.
Personalized genomics too.
Yeah.
Using your DNA profile.
Becoming standard. Tailoring diet, exercise, medication based on your specific genetic risks and predispositions. Optimizing health.
Robotics and AI in surgery. Making things more precise, cheaper.
That's the goal. Systems that might even outperform human surgeons in some repetitive tasks. Democratizing access to top-level surgical skill.
And cellular medicine. Using living cells as treatments.
Right. Regenerating damaged tissues, engineering immune cells to target cancer specifically, like CAR-T therapy. A totally different approach.
But again, the source brings up challenges. Ethics, privacy.
Absolutely. AI making health decisions. Who owns your genetic data? And crucially, access. Will everyone benefit or just the wealthy? Big questions to grapple with.
Very related is longevity. Chapter 10. Is aging just wear and tear, or is it programmed?
The view presented is that there's definitely a programmed element, biological processes we might be able to influence.
They talk about the 9 horsemen of aging.
Yeah, basically the 9 key biological mechanisms that drive aging. Genomic instability, telomere shortening, cells becoming senescent or zombie-like.
So if we can target those.
Maybe we can slow it down or even reverse some aspects, which leads to this idea of longevity escape velocity.
Escape velocity, like rockets.
Kind of. The idea is, what if science starts adding more than 1 year to your healthy lifespan for every year that passes?
So you outrun aging.
Theoretically, yeah. You stay one step ahead. And the source suggests this isn't necessarily centuries away. Maybe within the next, say, 12 to 30 years, it could become possible.
That's mind-bending. So what's in this anti-aging pharmacy?
They discuss things being researched now. Existing drugs like metformin or rapamycin that might have longevity benefits. Newer therapies like senolytics designed to clear out those zombie aging cells.
And the weird research with young blood.
Kerobiosis, yeah. Connecting circulatory systems of old and young mice showed rejuvenation effects in the older mice. Now companies are trying to isolate the specific factors in young blood responsible, like GDF11.
So extending healthy lifespan is moving from sci-fi to maybe reality.
Becoming an actionable pursuit, as they put it, thanks to biotech, AI, all this convergence.
Okay, let's broaden that again. Chapter 11. Insurance, finance, real estate, big traditional sectors.
And they're all being shaken up. Insurance started simply to pool risk, right?
Lloyd's Coffee House, yeah.
Now, Think autonomous cars. If they crash way less often because human error is gone, what happens to auto insurance? It could shrink dramatically.
Wow.
Then you have new models, crowdsurance people pooling risk directly, peer-to-peer, cutting out the big company, or dynamic risk management. Your insurance premium changes in real time based on data from your car or fitness tracker.
Like Progressive Snapshot, but on steroids.
Exactly.
Finance, too. How we store, move, invest money.
All being disrupted, new banks with different models, mobile money like M-Pesa wreaking billions who never had bank accounts, and blockchain, fintech, enabling direct peer-to-peer lending, changing global trade, less reliance on traditional banks.
And real estate.
Cloud platforms changing how brokerages work, cutting overhead. AI and VR transforming how you search for and view properties. Maybe you don't need a human agent as much.
Virtual tours get much better.
Right. And then wilder ideas like floating cities to deal with sea level rise. Sustainable, modular live-in on the water.
But these sectors are heavily regulated. That must be a hurdle.
Huge hurdle. Adapting regulations, ensuring security, especially with things like blockchain, building trust in new models, making sure it doesn't worsen inequality. The source notes these critical perspectives are important. It's not frictionless change.
Right. Okay, last specific sector. Food. Chapter 12. What does a meal look like in 2030?
Highly personalized. AI knows your nutritional needs, your preferences, maybe designs the meal. Could be a weird fusion cuisine. Delivered by drone.
Yeah.
Maybe printed by a 3D food printer in your kitchen.
Prepared by a robot chef.
Could be. All focused on taste, nutrition, but also minimizing waste and environmental impact.
Because our current system is inefficient.
Hugely. Photosynthesis itself is inefficient. We waste vast amounts of food, transporting food thousands of miles. Traditional meat production uses enormous amounts of land, water, energy.
So tech is improving agriculture, making plants better.
Working on boosting photosynthesis yields, developing natural coatings, like from appeal sciences, to make produce last way longer, reducing spoilage.
And vertical farming, growing food indoors in cities.
Taking off. Uses way less water, no pesticides, less land, much shorter transport distances. High yields grown right where people live. Big potential to address food security.
And the big one, cultured meat. Growing meat from cells.
Yeah, lab-grown meat, no animals harmed. The potential environmental savings are staggering, huge reductions in land use, water use, greenhouse gases compared to raising livestock.
And could it taste the same? Be affordable?
That's the race right now. Getting the costs down, scaling it up, perfecting the taste and texture. But the potential is there for ethical, sustainable, maybe even healthier meat alternatives.
So engineering food at the molecular level.
Basically, yeah, using tech to create food sustainably.
Okay, so we've seen the engine of change, the industry transformations, but Chapter 13 tackles the flip side, threats and solutions.
Because with all this rapid change come risks, big ones. The source points to major global threats. Water crises, climate change, biodiversity loss, extreme weather, pollution.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. But the argument is the same tech driving change can also help solve these problems.
Like for water.
Things like Dean Kamen's Slingshot Purifier cleans any water source with minimal energy, better desalination tech, even pulling water directly from the air.
Climate change.
The shift to renewables is accelerating like crazy because solar and wind are just getting so cheap, often cheaper than coal now. Better batteries for energy storage, EVs cutting transport emissions. Tech can help with reforestation too, using drones, for instance, creating closed loops, less wasteful economies.
What about social threats, like robots taking all the jobs?
Yeah.
Technological unemployment.
It's a real concern. Automation will displace jobs. History suggests new jobs get created, but there's likely to be a messy transition period. Need for retraining, adapting education systems becomes critical.
And bigger existential risks.
Yeah.
Rogue AI biotech gone wrong.
Yeah, the really powerful technologies have downside risks too. Requires careful thought, ethical guidelines, maybe new forms of governance that can adapt quickly to prevent catastrophes. Long-term thinking.
But solving these huge problems.
Yeah.
It's not just tech, is it?
No, the source is clear on this. It requires massive cooperation, probably the largest cooperative effort in human history. Technology alone isn't enough. We have to work together.
Okay, finally, Chapter 14 looks at the future through a different lens, the 5 great migrations.
Yeah, framing history and the future around how humans move. Migration has always driven innovation, mixing people and ideas.
So what are the future migrations? First is climate migrations.
People forced to move by climate change, droughts, floods, sea level rise. Could be hundreds of millions of climate refugees by mid-century, a huge humanitarian challenge.
Second, urban relocations. People moving to cities.
That trend continues, accelerates even. Billions more heading to cities by 2050. Drives productivity, but also strains infrastructure and governance. Needs smarter cities.
Third, virtual worlds migration, moving into the metaverse.
A totally new kind of migration, driven by psychology, the immersiveness, the connection, maybe escaping reality. People spending more and more of their lives, work, social time in virtual environments.
How does that change society?
Profoundly, probably. What does community mean? What happens to physical places? Big questions.
Fourth is space migration, leaving Earth.
Yeah, the Musk and Bezos vision, making humanity multiplanetary, establishing colonies on the moon or Mars for long-term survival, expansion, the next frontier.
And the fifth, meta-intelligence. What is that?
This is maybe the most out there. The idea that brain-computer interfaces might eventually allow for some kind of merging of minds.
Like a collective consciousness?
Something like that. Pooling cognitive resources. Radically changing intelligence, innovation, maybe even what it means to be an individual human. Huge potential, huge ethical questions about autonomy.
So these 5 migrations, they could totally reshape humanity over the next century.
That's the perspective, driven by the same technological convergence we've been talking about all along.
Wow. Okay. Taking all of that in, the converging tech, the amplifiers, the changes in shopping, health, education, food, even these possible migrations. It's a lot.
It really is. The core message is clear, though. The speed of change itself is accelerating, touching literally every part of life.
And like you said, this isn't just theory for the future. You can see the beginnings of these shifts impacting your life, your job, your health right now.
Absolutely. It paints a picture of a future that's arriving incredibly fast, full of amazing possibilities, yes, but also real challenges we need to navigate carefully.
So thinking about all this unprecedented speed, these transformations, these potential migrations, climate refugees, virtual worlds, maybe even space, how do you think we should prepare, individually, collectively, for a future where normal, maybe even home or human, means something radically different?